Sinner's lawyer defends him against attacks following his suspension. JANNIK felt he was treated unfairly. The world number one has been handed a 3-month suspension following an agreement with the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, and reactions have been swift and divided. From criticism by players like Nick Kyrgios and Stan Wawrinka to the stance taken by Novak Djokovic's Players Union, the PTPA, the case has sparked intense debate in the tennis world. Today, however, we focus on the words of his lawyer, Jamie Singer, who spoke in an interview with Sky Sports Italy and made strong statements in defense of his client. What exactly did he say? Was there favoritism in the handling of the case? How does Sinner feel about the backlash from the tennis community? Stay with us until the end to get all the details. The Sinner case, a controversial process. To understand the situation, let's take a quick look back. Jannik Sinner tested positive in an anti-doping control under what his legal team has described as very unusual circumstances. Rather than prolong the legal battle, the Italian opted to reach an agreement with WADA and accept a 3-month suspension, meaning he will be unable to compete until May 4. However, this agreement has been met with skepticism from several players and tennis sectors who believe that the current world number one receives special treatment. Nick Kyrgios, known for his outspoken nature, was one of the first to react with sarcastic comments on social media. Meanwhile, Stan Wawrinka also expressed his discontent, and the PTPA, led by Djokovic, made it clear that they strongly disagreed with the resolution. But what does Sinner's camp think about this wave of criticism? This is where his lawyer, Jamie Singer, steps in. In an interview with Sky Sports Italy, Amy Singer firmly defended both Jannik Sinner and the integrity of the process carried out by the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA. She was clear and direct in her response to the controversy surrounding the case. There was no favoritism. Tennis players talk, but they don't really know the facts. Jannik felt he was treated unfairly but accepts everyone's opinions. Singer's comments were aimed at dispelling any lingering doubts regarding the fairness of the decision and addressing the criticism from certain players and pundits who question why Sinner received a reduced suspension. She emphasized that the case was handled with transparency, in strict accordance with WADA's official guidelines, and that all conclusions were drawn based on scientific evidence rather than external pressures or biases. However, the most striking part of Singer's statement was her revelation regarding Sinner's reaction to the backlash he has faced. According to her, the Italian player has felt mistreated by some of his fellow competitors, many of whom have voiced strong opinions on the matter without fully understanding the details of the case. Despite this, Sinner has chosen not to engage in public disputes or retaliate against those who have criticized him. Instead, he has maintained a professional and composed demeanor, focusing on his future in the sport rather than getting caught up in controversy. Singer's words reinforce the idea that while the scrutiny has been difficult, Sinner remains determined to move forward and put this chapter behind him. Singer also took a swipe at the players criticizing Sinner. I think tennis players always act aggressively when another player is involved in a similar situation and try to hide when they are the ones involved. A statement that clearly points to the hypocrisy within the tennis circuit and has left many reflecting on how these types of situations are handled in professional tennis. The decision not to fight at CAS. Another key point of the interview was the revelation that convincing Sinner to accept the suspension was not easy. According to Singer, the Italian wanted to prove his innocence, but engaging in a process with the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, could have been a bigger risk, as the suspension could have ultimately been harsher. After carefully evaluating the options, the team decided that accepting the 3-month suspension was the best course of action to avoid a prolonged battle that could have further damaged his career and public image. What's next for Sinner? With the suspension in place, Jannik Sinner will be unable to compete until May, meaning he will miss key tournaments like the Monte Carlo Masters 1000 and the start of the clay court season. However, if everything goes according to plan, the Italian could return just in time for the final tournaments leading up to Roland Garros, where he will look to prove that he remains the best in the world. The big question is, how will this suspension affect his image and his relationship with other players? Will he be able to regain his place in the circuit without issues, or will he continue to be a target of criticism? Carlos Alcaraz speaks out on the controversy. The scandal surrounding Jannik Sinner's suspension remains the hottest topic in the tennis world, and now Carlos Alcaraz has decided to weigh in on the matter. After his victory over Luca Nardi at the Doha tournament, the Spanish star made it clear that, while he respects his rival's situation, he remains focused on his own path and his goal of reaching the number 1 ATP ranking. Extreme caution with supplements. During his press conference in Doha, Alcaraz emphasized the importance of being extremely cautious with nutrition and supplements in professional sports. "We've always been very careful about this issue," the Spaniard stated, highlighting that his team thoroughly checks every product before consuming it to avoid any type of accidental contamination. While he avoided direct controversy over Sinner's suspension, Alcaraz subtly hinted at his stance by stressing that such precautions are essential in professional tennis. "If someone offers us a supplement, we always check everything it contains to make sure we can take it," he added, making it clear that his team takes these matters very seriously. Alcaraz and the battle for number 1. Beyond the Sinner case, Alcaraz has his sights set on leading the ATP rankings, and with the Italian sidelined for 3 months, he has a golden opportunity to move closer to the throne. "Whether JANNIK plays or not, we always try to do well in every tournament because number 1 is a goal," he said with determination. After his brilliant performance in Rotterdam, where he claimed his first indoor title, Alcaraz continues to gain confidence in ATP points to close the gap with Sinner. Now, with the Doha tournament underway, Carlitos has the chance to continue climbing the rankings and inch closer to that coveted top spot. Can Alcaraz overtake Sinner? With Sinner out of competition until May, Alcaraz has several tournaments ahead where he can capitalize on the opportunity to challenge for the number 1 ranking. However, the question remains, can the Spaniard surpass the Italian before his return? WADA responds to Djokovic, Sinner's case is not intentional doping. The controversy surrounding Jannik Sinner's suspension continues to escalate, and now the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, has addressed the criticism. Novak Djokovic was among the players who voiced concerns over the handling of the process, suggesting possible favoritism toward the world number 1. However, WADA has been adamant, Sinner's case cannot be classified as intentional doping. Djokovic questions the suspension. The Serbian star has been one of the most vocal critics of the 3-month ban imposed on Sinner following his positive test for clostebol at Indian Wells. Djokovic argued that WADA's inconsistent sanctions raised doubts about the transparency of the system. Initially, an independent tribunal had cleared the Italian, but the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, decided to appeal the decision, seeking a suspension of up to 2 years. This move underscored WADA's commitment to upholding strict anti-doping regulations and ensuring a level playing field in professional sports. However, in a surprising turn of events, an agreement was reached between the parties involved, leading to a reduced penalty. Sinner ultimately accepted a 3-month ban, thus avoiding a prolonged legal battle and a potentially harsher sanction that could have significantly impacted his career. WADA's firm response. Following the controversy, WADA lawyer Ross Wenzel made a statement to clarify the organization's stance and the reasoning behind the final decision. "The scientific evidence we received indicated that this could not be considered a case of intentional doping, including microdoses." This statement was crucial in addressing concerns over the fairness of the process, reinforcing that WADA's decision was based purely on the available scientific evidence rather than any external influence or favoritism. Do you think WADA acted fairly in this case? Or do you share Djokovic's concerns about how Sinner was treated? Leave your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to Tennis Zone for more news and analysis on the tennis world. See you in the next video.